Welcome back to History in Motion, proudly brought to you by Midas.
Before the break, I asked you a quick question. How many feet of elevation changes are on Dezzi Raceway? The answer is 220 feet of elevation changes with 3 blind entries at this newly completed track in Potchefstroom.
Dezzi Raceway, with its tight corners and elevation changes, plays to the strength of the light and nimble Investchem historic single-seaters.
It was built in 1984 by Louis Empire. He raced it for a couple of years, used to commute from Natal up to race at Kyle Army and so on. But it also won the Formula V Association Championship in 1987. We then found the bits and pieces of the car in a barn, basically. I rebuilt the car over time and sold it on to Michelle, and she started a single-seater career in it.
It was quite a learning curve going from saloon cars to single-seaters, but I really thank AJ for getting me into the car. That actually started, AJ lent me the car to race in East London. I ended up breaking the motor. I think the biggest part left was about that big. So I think out of guilt, I felt I should buy the car, which I did, and I just never looked back. It's wonderful to learn in a single-seater, and it really brought me many, many years of happy racing.
We just bought the car last week Saturday and spent most of the Easter weekend putting it back together and making it all work, and it's completely different from the other single-seater that I've driven. Yeah, whole different car to get used to. So it's a very challenging circuit with most of your apexes you can't see where you're turning, and all the drop-offs and elevation changes change the way the car handles, so very difficult, as I found this morning.
Ben van der Westhuizen puts his Royale RP21 into pole position. Des Hillary lines up alongside him in his Dulon MP15B. Michelle Scott is in 5th position with Steve Crook alongside her. Duncan Gibb and AJ Koenig fill up the 4th row. A standing start for the Investchem historic single-seaters. The lights go out and they're off. Ben van der Westhuizen gets a fantastic start and leads the field into turn 1. Des Hillary slots in behind him with Chris Clark in 3rd. Ron Lydiard leads Michelle Scott. Behind them, Alan Grant and AJ Koenig run side by side through turn 1. Grant has the advantage and moves ahead, running up the hill. Through the corkscrew, and van der Westhuizen has already pulled up a slight gap on Hillary. Down the hill, and Steve Crook has moved ahead of Michelle Scott. Scott loses it and spins the Tiga Formula Ford around. Luckily, no one is close by, so no damage done. She loses a few positions, though, as Alan Grant, Duncan Gibb and the rest of the field stream past. Scott turns herself around and will have to battle her way through the field as she rejoins at the back. She will be highly frustrated with that mistake. Ben van der Westhuizen is coming under pressure now from Des Hillary, and Chris Clark is not too far behind them. Into turn 1, and there's nothing between van der Westhuizen and Hillary. Hillary, taking a tighter line, was forced to go heavier on the brakes, and this has allowed van der Westhuizen to hold onto the lead and pull away slightly. Hillary will come back, though. Coming down the hill through the left-hand sweep, van der Westhuizen and Hillary are side by side. Into the braking zone, and van der Westhuizen leads the way. Hillary tries to go around the outside, but can't make it work. Up into the blind right-hander, and Alan Grant leads Michelle Scott. Scott is pushing hard, trying to make up lost ground. Into the corkscrew, and Scott dives down the inside, desperate for a way past. Scott cuts across and moves to left of Grant, coming out of the corkscrew. Grant is carrying speed, though, and flies past Scott as he dives into the hairpin. Brave move from Grant as he manages to keep ahead of Scott. Over the bridge and into the S's. The leaders are coming into the back markers, and the traffic could make things interesting. Van der Westhuizen makes his way through cleanly, as does Hillary. Heading up the hill, Van der Westhuizen runs wide, but that doesn't slow him down too much. Into the final complex, and Ben van der Westhuizen runs wide into the first section, but moves back online ahead of Des Hillary, and the top 3 file past the traffic. Steve Crook recovering after a little excursion onto the grass. That would have cost him about 30 seconds. Coming down the straight, Duncan Gibb leads Paul Manigault and Warren Gibb. Ron Lydiard in his Lotus 51A is coming up to lap the trio as they head up the hill. Into the final complex, Ben van der Westhuizen is still ahead of Des Hillary. The pressure has been relentless as van der Westhuizen cuts the corner ever so slightly. Through the corkscrew, and the leaders come up on the Grant-Scott battle. They both keep wide lines and allow the lead battle between Van der Westhuizen and Hillary to continue unhindered. Down the hill they drop. Van der Westhuizen is cleanly past Scott, and Hillary is taking the wide line around her on the outside. Into the sweeping right-hander, and Lydiard stays out wide. Van der Westhuizen hugs the inside line, and Hillary follows him through. Great battle between the lead pair. Over the finish line comes Warren Gibb in the number 80 Eagle LSR. He will have another lap to do as Ben van der Westhuizen takes the checkered flag behind him. Des Hillary was just 0.6 of a second behind him in second. Fantastic racing from the pair. Chris Clark comes home in third, just under 3 seconds behind them. Duncan Gibb and Paul Manigault came home in 9th and 10th with just under a second separating them.
These guys were all over me, and I really drove the whole race, all 12 laps, to try and keep them behind me. Well, Des at one stage actually overtook me, but he bogged down a bit, so I managed to get past him again. But it was extremely close.
Yeah, no, we managed to keep him honest this time round, eh? But his racecraft is top draw. So he gave me a lesson. I've still got a bit to learn.
He's a cheating old man, that's it, brother.
No, I kept my place, but that was behind him. My place was behind him, not in front of him.
Yeah, what happened was they were fighting in the front. I was waiting for them to hit each other off so I could take over the position. But they nearly touched a few times, but I couldn't get through.
Unfortunately, Michelle had a spin.
I ran out of talent.
She ran out of talent, had a spin, which allowed me to get in front of her. And that was great because I just decided, you know, I was taught at school it's ladies first, but not on this racetrack, sorry. So we had a really good go, and it was good, clean driving.
It was a great race. I messed up at the beginning, and which actually made it for a really good race. Then met up with Alan, and I tried absolutely everything I could to get past him, but every corner, everything I could, but I just couldn't. He really drove well, and just thank you. It was a great, great race.
What you need to know about historic racing, though, is that you can have as much fun in 6th or 7th place as you can winning.
The lights go out and we are racing in the second of the Investchem historic single-seaters. Ben van der Westhuizen takes the lead going into turn 1, but he's already coming under pressure from Des Hillary. Steve Crook and Alan Grant run side by side into turn 1. Crook with the inside line edges the advantage as they head up the hill. Duncan Gibb, AJ Koenig, Warren Gibb and Paul Manigault are tightly bunched together as they make their way through turn 1 and up the hill. Behind them we go on board with Clive Winterstein. From the low angle of the single-seaters you get a totally different perspective of the track with all the elevation changes and turns. Out of the corkscrew and into the hairpin, and Warren Gibb locking up late in the brakes, drives into the back of Paul Manigault. Gibbs' nose goes flying and that will be the end of his race. You can see that absolutely nothing is left of the Eagle LSR's nose as he makes his way round to the pits. Looking at the replay, you notice the smoke from the lockup, and then you see the bodywork go flying as the two cars make contact. In the battle for 4th position, Ron Lydiard in the green and yellow Lotus leads Steve Crook in the blue Von Diemen. Round the right-hander and into the corkscrew they drop. The Lotus holding its ground for now. Great shot of the Lotus popping up, exiting the corkscrew with the sun reflecting off the track. With all the changes in direction, the change of light, especially as the afternoon draws on, forms a particular challenge for the competitors. Clive Winterstein driving into the sun, leaves his braking a bit late and spins his Elva Porsche round and off the track. He will be disappointed with that as the marshals rush to his aid. The Union Jack Titan of Chris Clark has found a way past the red Toulon of Des Hillary. Hillary is pushing hard though and is not letting Clark get away from him. Clark is looking confident despite the pressure from Hillary. Into the S's come Lydiard and Crook. There is nothing between the two as they make their way up the hill and into the final complex. Des Hillary has had a spin, I would guess from pushing too hard looking for a way past Clark. Ben van der Westhuizen, having a pressure-free race out of the front, comes round to lap the Lotus of Alan Grant as he climbs the hill and heads into the final complex. Alan Grant, lying in 7th position, will follow Ben van der Westhuizen through the final left-hander and down the start-finish straight to the checkered flag. So it's Ben van der Westhuizen taking a double victory on the day in the Investchem historic single-seaters at this inaugural race meeting at Dezzi Raceway. Chris Clark came home in 2nd place, 19 seconds behind van der Westhuizen. Despite his spin, Des Hillary still managed to fill the final place in the podium. Ron Lydiard finished just under 0.2 of a second ahead of Steve Crook in the battle for 4th place.
My plan was to actually have a very good start, so I could actually drive properly and not a defensive race. And it actually worked very well. Once I cleared them, I could actually run very well. I think I did very good times. I hope I got the lap record.
Well, this time I missed a gear at the hairpin first time round. And Chris passed me, and the following lap I put a wheel off in the dirt and did a spin. So this time, this short guy beat me this time. So
He was trying too hard.
yeah, I was trying too hard. Absolutely. We were giving it.
And we were fighting, so Ben went into the distance. But we had a good time fighting each other. It was good.
Join us after the break for some more exciting action from the Midas Historic Tour.